Let's jump straight into some massive breaking news that basically has the entire combat sports world talking today. For this explainer, we're dedicating our time to a true modern legend of the ring. Former unified welterweight world champ Errol Spence Jr. has officially called it a career. He announced his retirement right after his comeback fight against Australia's own Tim Tszyu at Afterpay Arena in Sydney. Now, when a fighter of Spence's caliber decides to hang up the gloves, it's absolutely a moment that demands our attention. So we're going to break down exactly how his final night in the ring unfolded, and then really take a step back to appreciate the incredible legacy he's leaving behind.
Okay, let's establish some crucial context right off the bat with this number 160. Spence built his entire legacy dominating at 147 pounds, right? So returning from a massive 3-year layoff to fight a really dangerous, highly active opponent at 160 pounds, well, that tells you everything you need to know about his fearlessness. Taking on Tszyu in his own backyard, moving up 2 full weight classes after 36 months away from the sport, that is an incredibly bold, borderline crazy move from the former champion.
Section 1. The final fight, Spence versus Tszyu.
So how did the 36-year-old actually look out there? It was literally a tale of two halves. In the first half of the fight, Spence proved he absolutely still had that elite veteran timing. It was super competitive. Actually, Spence was throwing more punches overall and doing some brilliant, classic work targeting Tszyu's body. But then, as we moved into those final 18 minutes, the dynamics completely flipped. The hometown hero Tszyu just started to dominate. He dictated the pace, constantly walking Spence down. And while Spence stayed busy, Tszyu was landing the heavier, much more telling blows. As Tszyu's confidence leveled up round by round, he started aggressively hunting Spence's chin. And man, that natural size and power difference at 160 pounds really started to show.
By the time that final bell sounded, the outcome wasn't really a mystery to anyone in the arena. The judges made it official with a decisive unanimous decision for Tim Tszyu. We saw one scorecard of 118-110 and 2 at 117-111. So with that, Tszyu locked in his 3rd straight victory, handing the returning legend a pretty definitive defeat.
Section 2. A gracious exit.
You know, in combat sports, the story almost never ends at the final bell. When Spence was asked about retirement, he didn't even hesitate. He said, "I've got my faculties intact, my money is good at working for itself, everything's good, man. I've got a beautiful family, and I thank God I'm gracious to leave this sport with my faculties intact and my family still by my side." Let's be real, boxing is a notoriously brutal, unforgiving sport. It takes a massive physical toll. So to hear a seasoned warrior like Spence express that kind of profound gratitude, to walk away secure in his finances, but more importantly, secure in his health, and surrounded by his family, that is the ultimate victory.
He actually punctuated his announcement with this incredibly simple phrase, telling the crowd it was time to go home with his family and start a new life. It is so rare to see a fighter of his magnitude make a clear-eyed, rational choice to prioritize his future over the temptation of just one more paycheck or trying to chase a bounce-back win. It really grounds the reality of what these athletes are putting on the line every time they step through the ropes for our entertainment.
Section 3. The Welterweight King.
With his new life beginning, let's take a second to celebrate the old one, because the resume is just ridiculous. A professional record of 28 total wins and only 2 losses. 22 of those wins came by way of knockout. He racked up 6 successful title defenses against the absolute best guys in the world. And let's not forget, he went completely undefeated in his first 28 professional fights. For nearly a decade, if you wanted even a piece of the welterweight crown, you had to go through Errol Spence Jr. And for a very, very long time, nobody could do it.
And he wasn't padding his record either. He dismantled an absolute murderer's row of modern boxing. He traveled all the way to the UK to stop Kell Brook. He won a legendary, totally grueling war against Sean Porter. He decisively beat Danny Garcia. And then in 2022, he stopped Yordenis Ugas to officially become the unified WBA, WBC, and IBF welterweight champion. He consistently sought out the most dangerous men in the division.
But maybe the craziest part of his legacy is the sheer resilience. In 2019, Spence survived a horrifying, near-fatal car accident. Most people thought that would end his career, let alone his life. Yet he actually returns to the ring, defends his titles against Danny Garcia, and then goes on to unify 3 belts against Ugas in 2022. I mean, wow. He didn't suffer his first professional loss until that massive 2023 undisputed clash with Terrence Crawford, which of course leads us to this final comeback and retirement in 2024. Reaching unified status after a crash like that is just a testament to an absolute iron will.
Section 4. A Hall of Fame Legacy.
So how's the sport going to remember him? Just listen to the industry reaction, straight from the guys who shared the ring with him.
Take Tim Tszyu, representing the new generation. Even after a dominant win, Tszyu admits it to having sleepless nights, worrying about facing a legend. He straight up said that beating a great like Errol Spence tops winning a world title. Think about that. When the guy who just beat you considers your name more valuable than a championship belt, your legacy is pretty much etched in stone.
That immense respect is totally echoed by his peers, too. Former champ and former opponent Shawn Porter paid an awesome tribute. He acknowledged that while this final fight didn't go Spence's way, the legacy is ironclad. Porter explicitly called him a Hall of Famer, saying Spence is a fighter whose prime you just won't forget because of his incredible body of work. When you're considered one of the greatest of your generation by the exact guys you went to war with, man, there's no higher compliment in boxing.
Which brings us to our final thought for today's explainer. We've talked about the stats, the incredible highs, the terrifying lows and comebacks, and we've heard the respect of his peers. As Errol Spence Jr. walks away to start his new life, healthy and with his family by his side, I want to leave you with this to ponder. When you look back at his undisputed reign, all those unified titles, and the legendary battles, where do you think Errol Spence Jr. ultimately ranks among the all-time boxing greats? It's definitely a debate fans will be having for decades. Thanks for hanging out with me to break down this monumental moment in sports history, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.